Mr. Speaker, a century ago, the philosopher George Santayana wrote that those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Today, in America, we are faced with this very dilemma. We are seeing attempts by the ultra-conservatives to rewrite history and cater to those uncomfortable with an evolving world, uncomfortable with our country's original sin. In these cases, it's no longer a matter of forgetfulness, but a deliberate effort to ignore the past or alter it to suit their own political gain. If we allow this altering to take hold, are we not doomed in our pursuit of a more perfect union? It's part of the overall goal by the former president and the MAGA movement. This movement rejects the idea that history is complex, and in the process casts aside efforts to reckon with it. Former President Trump and his followers prefer to simplify things for an audience afraid of a changing world. And in so doing, Trump and his loyal followers refuse to accept the existence of complexities and contradictions in our shared story. It's why Donald Trump so staunchly defended Robert E. Lee, not because Trump has a grasp on history, but because Lee represents a vision of the past some would like to reclaim. They would rather paint a vision of our story unsullied by racism, suppression of women's rights, or violence against indigenous people. Even the definition of patriotism has been corrupted. But patriotism isn't about ignoring the realities of our wrongs. It's about recognizing them and vowing never again, trying to make things better. But this approach fails to coexist with the MAGA agenda. We've seen others claim the great replacement theory is not a white supremacist conspiracy theory, but a goal of the Democratic Party. Sadly, this battle is also playing out prominently in our educational institutions. Governors in red states have implemented civic standards that whitewash history rather than providing students with a full understanding of our nation's founding. One prominent governor defended his state's African American history curriculum standards, claiming some enslaved people developed skills that could, quote, be applied for their benefit. Our nation's messy history and our present flaws don't serve the MAGA goals and certainly don't empower them. They would rather rewrite the past than change the future, because if they accept the truth, that would be relinquishing power. After all, it's power and the desire to retain it that drives this movement. Donald Trump lying to his followers about the results of the 2020 election was about holding on to power. To suggest enslaved people potentially benefited from slavery is about power, even suggesting that it's immigrants who are, quote, poisoning the blood of our nation is about power. All this stokes fear, division, and ultimately violence. It also suggests to our allies and our adversaries that we cannot be accountable for our wrongs. We must show that we stand with the truth, not denialism, that we don't accept lies about claiming the election was stolen, that we don't accept lies suggesting that black people benefited from slavery, recognizing that these lies have consequences. Today we are witnessing what the wrongful rewriting of history can lead to. Vladimir Putin continues to falsely claim Ukraine is part of Russia in an attempt to justify his war. We may feel as though something like this, the deliberate brainwashing of the public, can never happen here. Well, it can, and it is. We cannot allow this revisionist history to continue spreading so maliciously and so effectively, not only for how the world perceives us, but for our pursuit of a more perfect union. We must recognize the darker sides of the past and teach our children that recognition is not a criticism, it is a lesson. If we are to maintain a grip on reality in our history, we must start at the local level, especially in our schools. We must ensure our children are taught the truth about the past. We must keep working to uphold the truth at all costs, regardless of how agreeable it is. This is not an affront to our history or our values. It is a promise to build a better tomorrow. Thank you, and I yield back.